Hello everyone. We have a very, very special episode today. Obviously we've been on our IVF journey to start a family, so we're just putting this out there right now. If you're having a bit of a tough time on your IVF journey, and you think you might struggle with, triggering things and stuff, just putting it out there, this might not be one for you. So we hope you come back when you're better, or when you feel better. But we're just trying to be considerate of everyone, because we know, how things can be
really
pretty
difficult.
tough.
Yeah.
So now we've got that out of the way, and we've given everyone plenty of time to make that decision. Let's get into it. Rebecca, how are you feeling?
I'm good. Do you want to introduce the podcast first?
Yeah, this is a Hub and
I'm
Mum Dad
Becky.
podcast.
That's Fuzz.
Episode number 51. And apologies if we're not getting our cues and the information that we normally get out perfectly, but it's because we're pretty excited.
And sleep deprived.
But also mainly positively excited.
Yeah, the big news is that we've had a baby.
Zoe is here.
Zoe is here. So apologies in advance for a lot of things. My tears might run.
Becky has done an amazing job. She's an absolute trooper. So today's episode, because we're like sitting on this news, a couple of people know, but we just want to basically get it out there and stuff. So today's episode, we're gonna give an overview of what happened from when Becky went into hospital into right now, which is
6 days postpartum.
Yeah.
6 days of Zoe in our lives.
exactly. So and then we might kind of, anything that is particularly interesting or people might find interesting, we might sort of go back into in further detail in other episodes going forward. But
Yeah,
it's basically like,
Questions welcome.
we've got loads of news, let's tell you about it, and then obviously we'll follow up in a bit. So, and we're both a bit of a mess. Like,
Yeah, I look like Gollum. I've just managed to grab a shower. Mum and Dad looking after the baby, and I didn't have time to put makeup on or dry my hair, obviously.
I woke up like this.
Yeah, puffy face like this.
So
Puffy, not puppy.
yeah, and we've got lots of visitors. Everything's
Yeah.
pretty crazy. So
Let's go.
yes, Becky
Yeah.
had reduced movement, and
Well-
we're going to try and be a bit clever with this episode as well, because we've been documenting the videos
Yeah.
as we go along. So
Well, let's just a little recap. Episode 50, we talked about the growth scan
yeah,
and how the baby was big. The induction was brought forward to the 5th of August, which is the day after our due date. So we knew we were going to have a baby imminently. We didn't know when. Oops, sorry. Because of the induction on the Friday that was planned, because of the baby size, on Tuesday...
Becky had reduced movement.
I had on Tuesday the 2nd.
So you went into hospital, into the women's unit. They checked her out. They put the tachometer. I keep saying tachometer on her, measured it, and
It's a CTG scan for the baby, basically.
and they were kind of okay with it, and they were happy with it. And they said, "We're more interested in how you feel." And then the doctor came.
And my gestation, because we were 39 plus something.
Quick caveat with that as well. They made a mistake on the notes ages ago, by basically putting the gestation out by 2 weeks. So as soon as the nurse came in, we went, FYI, those notes are a bit of a mess. Becky is actually 39 and 5 or whatever. And she went, yeah, cool. And then checked us out, went, oh, everything looks good. And then just as we were about to leave, they went, oh, I just double checked, and you're actually
39 plus 5.
39 plus 5 or whatever. So because you're so close to your gestation date, we're going to get a doctor to check you out. I was a bit annoyed, because that's the first thing we said to him. We said the notes are wrong, because imagine if we left.
Yeah.
Anyway, doctor comes in, checks her out and says...
Not quickly either.
No,
Obviously,
we were there for hours. Doctor comes in, checks Becky out, says, kind of happy with the movements, but you're fully cooked, basically, so there's no downsides to inducing earlier.
And that's what we would normally offer.
Yeah.
But
so basically, if we didn't have one booked, she'd be like, right, I think we should induce you now.
today, yeah.
Like now.
Yeah.
And then she went, but we can't.
Because there's
So
no space.
I was pretty pissed off that they said, this is the best thing to do, but we're not doing it.
Yeah.
That's all I hear. Like, this is what I recommend, but computer says no.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God.
So because the induction was booked for Friday and this was the Tuesday, the busyness on the wards, they just said that they couldn't possibly fit us in. So instead, they offered us a stretch and sweep, which we could have refused, but I went for because I said I kind of want to get labour going. Like if
because this baby is like Godzilla, it was growing at an exponential rate.
But also because the movements were reduced and it's doctor's orders to have an induction, but they can't give you one.
That's what really pissed me off.
Yeah.
Like a doctor. Obviously, they're more qualified than a midwife. I know there's probably loads of midwives are going to be screaming now, but like,
they've done more training.
I'm going to go with the person who's in charge.
Yeah.
Like, and the doctor said, I'd recommend inducing you now. And the whole mix up with the gestation, they
couldn't do it anyway, so they offered us a sweep. And on examination, they said that my cervix looked favourable for induction on Friday. She mentioned 1 to 2 centimetres, but I was like not really taking that much information in. So she did the sweep and off we went. She said, the doctor said, because we can't induce you, to give you peace of mind, you need to come back to hospital every day to have a CTG scan to check on the movements.
Now that's infuriating because they're saying you need an induction, we can't give you one, but we'll keep bringing you back to do these things which are not necessary.
Well, they were necessary because the movements were reduced.
It's
but also I think they were hoping that I would go into labour.
Yeah, and I think it's more, and it takes like an hour to get there, traffic permitting. Sometimes it's a nightmare, and it's just like, come on, like.
So I immediately had some bleeding, which is normal from a stretch and sweep, and started to have some like twinges, aches and pains. So we went home like, ooh, maybe it's going to happen. Got on the birthing ball. Like we were doing everything we could to kind of make the baby come because we were getting a bit tetchy by then. The morning came. We didn't really have... I didn't have any more feelings. A couple of twinges. We went for a walk with the dog and one of my best friends. Well, my best friend... who was going to look after the dog when we did go into to be induced. And while I was on the walk, I got a few cramps and she was like, oh, maybe it's happening, maybe it's not. So I was like, okay. Anyway, we then went in for our CTG scan, expecting to be there for a couple of hours with...
4 o'clock-ish or something,
Yeah, maybe... No, it was at 2:30.
Yeah, when in the afternoon.
We had something delivered.
They stuck the little taco meters on you and everything.
We got ourselves all set up with
we got some
iPad.
video of that. Video going here.
Yeah.
So
they were happy with that. And we spoke to the lovely midwife who saw us there. She was really kind. I've forgotten her first name, but she was called Sainty. Nurse Sainty. And I've written everyone's name down through the whole process up to where I could.
She was amazing, reassuring, talked us through everything.
Then she said, I'll call the induction wards and see if they've got space. And we were like,
I'm not going to take credit, right? But like, I phoned the induction ward that day and I said, this is the deal, right? The doctor said she needs to be induced. She's not being induced because computer says no, basically. Like, you're 3 different departments talking to each other. Is there any space on the ward? First woman said, no, computer says no. And then the second woman said, oh, things change so fast all the time. We might have some space there. So then when we went in and saw Nurse Sainty, midwife Sainty. I said, the doctor told us the best thing right now really is an induction. Is there any chance you could maybe call up? And, I was kind of joking a bit. I said, if they want donuts, fruit pastels, anything they want, I can go to the shop. I can, I will unashamedly bribe the hell out of everyone to get Becky up there. And she was like, I'll see what I can do. She went away. Becky watched an episode of This Is Fuzz Crying, also known as This Is Us.
This also goes back to what we've said all the way through this podcast and through any fertility journey. You need to advocate for yourself, and often
I'm unashamedly like, no, this is what's happening. Like, this is the most important person.
Fuzz is the one to listen to and take advice from in this scenario.
Don't be rude, but don't be pushed over. Don't get told what to do.
I think we all feel a little bit scared of questioning people in authority sometimes, but it's important to ask for what you want and insist that you find out and get your answers.
Can you please
questions answered,
check if there's any space on the induction ward? Most people go, I don't think so. Computer says no.
So off she went.
She was awesome. She was on board. She was on board. She was like, come back. I came back. She said, it's happening. So she said, off you pop.
No,
Go
she
on.
didn't. She said, you need to come back here at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, but we have to leave.
She went one step further. She was like, I'm going to make the process smoother and go quicker by taking your bloods and all your vitals now so that you don't have to wait around on the ward when you get there.
Yeah, amazing.
Because
We will put a proper shout out to her, yeah.
She knew we were booked in for 8 o'clock, but Fuzz would only be allowed with me till 9. And she knew that if I got there at 8, even if they were ready, they'd take an hour or whatever to get my blood sorted. So it was amazing. She was a legend, an actual saint.
Yes, and we hope maybe we can get her on the podcast, who knows. So we left.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, we're going to be having a baby soon. What do we do? I can't remember what we did, to be honest.
Well, we organised for my friend to collect.
Annabelle took the dog.
Yeah, Annabelle took the dog. And
my dad helped us with both TVs broke in the house the week before. My dad said, you got a baby coming. You can't have a TV. You can't not have a TV. He literally couldn't wrap his head around not having a TV.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, Dad, if you want to help us out with the TV, I will pay you back, but thank you very much. So Annabelle took the TV, took the dog home, and then we had a couple of hours between.
We checked the hospital bags, reviewed them.
Checked the hospital bags. Got a picture of that we can check in now.
I had a bath. We chilled, and then.
It was a bit weird. It was like it wasn't chill. It was just like.
It wasn't stressful, but it was like busy.
It was, So
we didn't have loads of time.
Off we go.
Yeah.
We
had taken our hospital bags with us to the CTG in case.
I took them all the time just because I wanted to be like, by the way, is there space on that induction?
We didn't have to come home. We could have just like gone for a walk and had dinner, but we decided to come home, get things sorted and tidy.
Back we go for 8 o'clock.
So and we called my mum and dad and said, make your way down to Cardiff.
Yeah. Jim and Sheila, like first response team, get in the car, get stuff sorted out. So we've had the final checks, space on the induction ward, nurse saying amazing, booked us in for 8, off we go, back home, few little checks, bags, wherever, back in for 8 o'clock, go in. I know, now when we went in, and we got video of this, if you're listening on the podcast, then you'll not see it, but if you want to check out the same episode on YouTube, we've got all the footage and stuff there, so you can check it out. Went on to the induction ward, and got you settled, and I knew they were going to like start kicking me out soon, and I'm like, I'm not going anywhere until I know what's going on, because you could have an adverse reaction, or you could just I just wanted to know things were in motion,
how far along we were with the sweep having happened, so you had an idea of how long it would be till you were back as well.
So we get in, take the bags in, they said, oh, hang out wherever, we'll get the bed ready. Gets the bed ready, get in, Becky gets settled, nurse comes in, explains what we're going to do. She said we're going to give you an inspection, if that's the word. Examination. I think
a VE,
the difference between an examination and an inspection is an inspection's for like non-living things.
Maybe.
I digress. Anyway, Becky gets an examination. Becky got an examination. And they said the uterus has favourable conditions for induction.
She said because I'd reached 2 centimetres, which was mad because I hadn't had any pain. Like I had some period niggles and stuff. But
you were like, going into labour, hold my beer.
Yeah, so she was like, well, there's certain steps that I can offer you, which she'd explained all before it.
So there were 3. They were all progressively, depending on how far along you went. We can't remember the ins and outs, but basically...
the first step is usually a pessary. Yeah. And they can be offered a certain number of times. Second step is a gel or some rods. Yeah.
Sounded horrible, but yeah. It's probably not. It just sounded not great.
And then...
Number 3...
The third step would be breaking your waters, I think.
No, the third one was when you had the gel.
No, I just said the gel. You could have the gel or the rods.
Okay, so there was a couple of options, and Becky was.
But I didn't need a pessary. I'd passed that stage.
Yeah, Becky was. They opted for the most progressive, furthest along option.
Yeah. So they explained that this gel that they apply to your cervix, you can have it done up to 2 times, and it usually lasts. Well, after 6 hours, they do another vaginal examination and check how you're getting on. So that's what they did. And then they gave me the gel, applied the gel, and that was around 9 o'clock.
And they were like, so you need to go home. And I was like, look, we just got you. Can I at least make sure she's settled and everything's cool and wherever? And they were like, okay, I guess so.
So it was like 9:30, 10 that you had to leave?
I left. I left you there. I hated that. Left you there. And randomly, there's a skate park like just around the corner. And it was Wednesday night. That's how I can remember. And Wednesday nights are normally the nights I go riding with my buddies. And they were there. So I was like, well, I'm not really going to just go home and like go to sleep. So I popped back. I went down there for like the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Nath had gone home, but I saw Buzz.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, my wife's going into labour and I've just been kicked out. And he was like, because he's got 2 kids. And he was talking me through all what happened with them and giving me advice and stuff. And it was kind of cool. And then I went back home.
Yeah.
By the time I took ages because I was just loitering. Like I wanted to be near the hospital. So I went back home. And then by the time I got back home, Sheila and Jim were here. And then... which is we were only expecting Sheila because we didn't know Jim could move his work around, so that was kind of cool. And then I'm just kind of pacing and walking around and stuff, and your mum's there, so I started cleaning up and making sure things were like, well, and it is more for you because I was happy with the way it was, but I was like, Becky won't like this, so your mum brought the pram down and the cot and stuff like that. And just sort of tried to make the room a bit nice so that if you came home all knackered, you could have something to go. Slept on the sofa. Told Sheila, like, they'll let us in at 9, so let's get there for 8. Glad I did because the traffic and everything is so far away and stuff. Like, by the time I aimed to get there for 8, and I got there for like 8:22. So we had a coffee, went in. There's all video footage of this.
Meanwhile... I'm on the induction ward.
I thought you were asleep. Like, did you just go to bed?
No. So you left me about 10:30, and then basically, I think she did a sweep at the same time as the gel. She did
examination,
then
a sweep, then a gel.
Yeah. So basically, I started to lose stuff like mucus pluggy stuff, which was a bit bleh. But
not really.
It was fine. I was just walking around, getting comfortable. I wasn't really having any pains going on. I was fine. I just felt like a bit. I knew they were going to wake me up at 3:00, so I was a bit like, I need to get to bed.
Yep.
So I got in my PJs. I watched a little bit of TV. Ate some biscuits, made a cup of tea.
Feeling Jen nervously excited?
Nervously excited and kind of like, oh, this is like an interesting experience. I've never stayed overnight in hospital before.
Yeah.
It's like mooching around.
Were you freaking out
like,
about it a bit?
No, it was quite nice. I text my dad picture like it's like a hotel. Obviously it's not for lots of people, but it was nice. And then, I kind of went off to sleep. They come in and inspect you like a lot because I was on a tachometer a few times.
They wake you up?
Yeah, they tachometered me a few times for different movements, and stuff. And so I was doing that and then sleeping in between, but like my sleep was quite broken and restless, and I don't know.
Wasn't a very restful experience.
It wasn't restful because I knew they were going to wake me up, but also I think my body was kind of starting to do stuff. Yeah, it definitely was. I just didn't know because I wasn't in any pain.
Okay, so when you
got to 3:00, and in comes the midwife, and she says it's time to do a vaginal examination and assess what the next step is. So she had a little look, and
I'm just interested.
She had a little look, and she said, "Great. How?" All the time they're checking how you're feeling. They're asking if you want any analgesia.
Anesthesia?
Yeah.
Pain relief, yeah.
Pain relief. And I didn't. They're asking you that all the time. And then I think...
What was the prognosis? 3:00 they said what?
3:00 they said, wow, you're 4 centimetres.
Right, so what's the plan
sure
then?
You don't want anything?
Yeah.
The plan then is you're ready to have your waters broken, but we can't do it here. You have to go up to delivery suite.
And computer says no.
Computer says no. There's no beds on delivery suite. So don't get your husband excited because the beds aren't likely to be ready till at least 8:00.
Yeah, so then I have to try and sleep. Now I am starting to get... No, actually. So I just sat there like, oh, this is a bit awkward. Like, I want to tell Fuzz and my mum. I'm ready to pop. But
like, you theoretically are allowed in, but you're not because we're not on delivery suite. In other circumstances,
so you got this awkward time where you're about to pop. And
I was just sat there like, this is a conundrum. And then suddenly I felt like I peed myself.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I'm finding this out. This is the first time I've heard this on camera.
I pressed the buzzer and I was like, I don't know if you should just like have a little look because it felt like I just had a wee, but not really sure because it's happening again. And so she looked and she was like, yeah, that's your waters.
Water's broken. It's 3:00.
Broken. And I was like, okay, so does this change anything? And she was like, no.
Computer still says no.
No.
Can't go upstairs.
She said, this means you're definitely in active labour, but your husband still can't come because there's still no beds on delivery suite.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, when's that going to be? She said, I think 8 o'clock. So I was like, great. I can't remember if I texted you. We'd have to go back and check. But by
I
this
just
time,
woke up. I didn't really look at my text. I was like, I'm getting up.
I was like,
getting up and going. And I'm there.
I was like, I think I've been a bit cocky maybe. Like I've been bragging too much about not having any pain because it's starting to feel a little bit twingy. So I started using my Positive Birth Company breathing exercises that up breathing, hypnobirthing stuff. Up breathing to help myself through it. And then basically I couldn't get comfortable, so I was just walking around back and forth.
So 4 till 8 o'clock you're uncomfortable, pacing around. You're like wherever.
Going to the toilet whenever I can. Lots of wheeze. I started to feel like constipated, so I was like, I really need to have a poo.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
This is up to 8 o'clock now.
This is up to 8 o'clock, and I was like willing hours away. I was in and out of the bathroom, and the bathroom was like stalls with a toilet with a window at the end. And I could see the sun coming up. I would just be like leaning on the windowsill, like breathing, swaying my hips. I even actually went to have a shower after my waters had broken because it was a bit yucky. And then talking about pain relief, I knew I wanted a water bath, and there was a bath available like in the air, like in the area. Unit, so I was like, can I have a bath while I wait? And they were like, that sounds like a good idea. This was like
yes or no would be a good answer, wouldn't it?
This was at like 7 o'clock, so I was like, can you run me a bath? And then they were like, okay, there's a bed on the ward.
Okay, so
and then you were already on the way.
So we were already on the way. Move. So we're going
I didn't get to get in the bath.
We're going from Induction now.
I think I had paracetamol.
You're going from Induction to the labour ward now.
Yeah. I was every person, I knew you were on the way, and every person that went past my curtain, I was on the corner bed, I was like, is that Fuzz? Is that Fuzz?
Eagerly, anxiously awaiting me and your mum.
Then you came around the corner and
9
I
o'clock.
got to see you.
9 o'clock.
So 9 o'clock we left the labour ward.
No, 9 o'clock we came in, wasn't it?
You came in, yeah.
Yeah, 9 o'clock we came
relieved. In. Can you stop rushing me?
No, but I'm just trying to make sure we hit everything along the way because it's all documented. I'm going to be chucking in some video as well.
Yeah. So you came around the corner and I was so relieved to see you both. Like, I just started crying.
Probably more your mum though.
No, both of you. I really needed you to be there. And then it was time to go. So we gathered up all my things. They said, how do you want to get there? Do you want a wheelchair? And I was like, no, it's fine. I've got this.
Yeah.
I was powering through, walking out, and then needed to stop for a contraction. Up we went in the lift, and then basically
we're off to labour ward. Labour ward. So we got onto the labour ward.
Got to labour ward. The consultant led labour ward. We knew there was only one bath, but I said, is the bath available?
Water birthing thing, yeah.
And they said, yeah. So in we went, and they did another vaginal examination.
Put the tachometers on you and stuff.
Put tachometers on me, and basically said, do you want any more anaesthesia? And I was like, what's available?
They went through our options. And then they got the anaesthetist to come and have a chat with you. Yeah,
I opted for gas and air, had a try, didn't like it. At this point, like all the way through the morning, I'd been feeling really queasy. And on the induction ward, when they came to ask me for if I wanted breakfast, it was when I was having a contraction. Oh, so I was like, like counting 1, 2, 3, 4 and out for 8 and doing that 4 times. And I just couldn't answer her. So I hadn't eaten since 8 o'clock the night before, apart from a few biscuits.
While you're talking about the breathing and all that kind of stuff, I think that's another episode on its own of just like the tips and things that you found helpful.
Maybe we should do a part 2 anyway.
Because our lives are very, very, very busy right now. So we're getting through this birth
Little
story.
lady is starting to get grisly.
Exactly.
I can tell. So
labour starts.
Contractions
are coming in.
They're putting me on the tachometer, and for some reason they couldn't quite pick up either the fetal heartbeat or the contractions.
There's a weird position going on.
It was tricky, so they couldn't let me go into the bath, the birthing pool, straight away. So I was like, oh, maybe we should run it, just so it's ready. But anyway, that didn't happen.
Midwife came in. I think the blonde woman with the blue. Was she a doctor or midwife?
Yeah. And basically, I was contracting. I was using my breathing techniques. I tried the gas and air, but I didn't like it. It was making me feel queasy and sick. So I refused that and carried on with my breathing. the midwives kept coming in. The senior midwife or the ward sister, whoever she was, kept on coming in, and because they obviously have the details on the outside, they can
everything's
monitor
monitored and going to a heads-up unit outside.
So they're like, what's going on with this baby, blah blah blah. I don't think it's a good idea to get to the pool. So now pool was off the cards, and I was like, I'm so sorry that I'm wasting this room with
Becky's
a pool
just
when I can't use
everyone.
it because it's so unfair.
And I was like, Beck, stop apologising to people, you're fine.
Yeah, so we carried on. I don't know how many hours it was.
The straps weren't working very well either, so they had to they had nurses and
so we got up there at 9
holding the stuff on.
We got up there at 9. Maybe they didn't do a vaginal examination then, but by 10 o'clock they did do a vaginal examination.
Yeah.
And I was 6 centimeters.
Yeah.
So I'd got from 4 centimeters at 3 o'clock in the morning.
It was a linear progression. I asked the doctor.
Yeah.
You were like X for Y. So like if you went 2 centimeters in an hour,
Dilated.
the next hour you went another 2. So it was like all good progress.
So I was making good progress. By this point, it was starting to get uncomfortable. So they were like, maybe you should just try the gas and air again. So I did, and it did bring some relief. So that was really good.
Yeah. You opted for no epidural and all the other things, because when we sat down and we talked about it, I think you were a bit overwhelmed as well, and I was like, right, so you just listened to the same stuff that I listened to, but like, here's the pros, here's the cons. I thought that was kind of, maybe that was helpful for you, because like you're kind of like thinking a million miles an hour, so if you just break it down, like, it's totally fine to do this, to do it, or to not do it. If you do it, these are the things you got to worry about.
I was glad that I had got so far with just breathing, and I thought the gas and air, even though it's making me feel a bit queasy, it's doing a good job in like taking the edge off the pain. And I could still do my breathing at the same time. You didn't use the gas in there towards the end anyway. I didn't use it when we were pushing. So it got to pushing stage. They found out I was obviously 10 centimeters. I think I'd started to tell them it hurts, and like maybe I'd started to tell them I can't do it, and she was like, the reason that the pain has changed is because you're ready to push. So off we go, started pushing. We are like
right towards the end of this like whole situation now.
Didn't use any gas and air at this point. I had tried loads of different positions on the bed because I had to stay on the bed.
They didn't want to move you.
They didn't want me to move because the CTG wasn't playing ball, basically. And at that point they decided, maybe it was earlier, to put the whatever they put on the baby's head to monitor.
It's an alternative to monitor the same stuff. So instead of the external tachometers, they put this, it sounds bad, but it's not. They put this little screw clip onto the baby's head. Anyway, so we get them in, like, we're in for an hour now. You're pushing for an hour.
They were twisting me around. I was on all fours for a while with my head to the back of the bed, and
they didn't like it, and they wanted you on your back, and they kept you still.
Which I was not happy about. But
and I thought maybe you could be moving around and doing stuff, because nothing was really
so
changing.
different from what I wanted, because I just wanted to be moving around, listening to music, dancing.
Doctor comes in to check what's going on, and she's like, okay, so we
only got this amount of time.
We don't let people go for more than 2 hours. And not much changed, to be honest, in that time. In an hour or two, you were getting contractions, you were pushing. I was just trying to help you. The breathing, that's one bit of advice I, as a outside person, would really recommend to all women, is try and work on catching your breath.
Yeah,
because
so
the contractions.
In breathing, it's called down breathing.
Yeah, but
and I hadn't practiced that enough.
No, it's just hard. Like Becky, you get a contraction, and it's like tight, and the doctors are like telling you as well. They're like, catch your breath. So it's like, hold it, and then you've got like a.
But when you catch your breath, you can feel the baby physically coming back
again.
In. So it's like catch your breath, but keep everything still. And don't let the baby move.
And it's like being winded. It's like you catch your breath, and then something moves, and you go, and then you've got no air left in you, and then you can't push as hard. But when Becky did get it, which you did, when you did get it, I was watching everything, and like when you did get it, you could see the night and day difference between the things. So it's like, I don't think anything will prepare a first time mum for going into that, but like, try.
Well, to help me, they said if you see what you're doing differently when you're doing it the way we want you to, then it might help.
Yeah.
So they got a mirror out, and that just traumatized me, to be honest.
This is right towards the end. Like, so
Yeah.
like basically there was like not much progress.
Yeah.
Good progress, but not much progress. And then we're getting up to the 2-hour mark, and then the doctor comes in and says, "Okay, Becky, we need to get this baby out in 10 minutes."
The contractions had slowed down, so they whipped in, put a cannula in me, and gave me some of that Syntonox, I think, which is what you might end up having if you're induced.
Induction, yeah. So
which is oxytocin to bring on the contractions.
yeah, because 2 hours in, you were just pooped. You were
I was
knackered.
exhausted, and the contractions had slowed down, and they needed to get the baby out. So
Yeah.
basically, that's what they did. They
Yeah,
pumped me full
doctor
of
was
that.
like, "Right, you
Time
got
to
10
go."
minutes."
Yeah. So
And we're all like trying to be supportive, like encouraging you on, but in a
don't
bad
be
way.
shit and keep pushing. basically.
No, I mean, I think, well, why does everyone do that? Why
Yeah.
does everyone say, "Come on"? Like, I was telling you, you got
it
this,
was
and then
good. Yeah,
when they
you, my mum, everyone that was there
Yeah.
was like, "You can do it. Come on, let's go."
and I know it sounds bad, but like,
Do it like that again.
there was like 4 or 5 different people talking, and I know from like training for fighting and stuff like that, when you got people in the corner, like kickboxing and stuff like that, you don't really. Sometimes it's easier to pick out a voice that you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Becky, look at me," and you're like,
I ripped your t-shirt.
Yeah,
I
I
was
was like-
literally like holding onto his t-shirt.
But I was just like, I was kind of like, "Look at me," and I was like, "Right, hold your breath." I was just trying my hardest to get you to just
you
hold
were
your
so
breath.
good all the way through it, and you
You
said
say
I
that,
was
but
so
it must be annoying as fuck.
You
Someone
said-
just going, "Yeah, do this," and you're like,
Yeah,
"Don't
it
fucking
was.
try."
I was really bossy with you though, because you were like sat on the edge of the bed, and sometimes you would like lean on me a little bit, obviously because
Yeah.
there was no room, and I'd be like, "Stop leaning on me."
Yeah. So it's all going right, and we had the doctor comes in, and she's like, "You got 10 minutes now."
And then another doctor.
Then
came in.
another doctor came in, so I'm like,
Shit.
all right.
Yeah.
So
So at this
push,
point,
push,
I
push,
was crowning,
everything-
and everything
yeah.
happened. The baby's head came out.
you saw it coming out. Everything was cool, like
I felt
working.
the baby's head out. But
Then we hit a roadblock.
yeah,
There was just
the baby was just stuck.
nothing
So they-
happening.
So much information, but basically the baby was stuck, and they pulled her out. So they pulled her out of me. My knees were, I was in stirrups anyway because of the way they put
Yeah.
me, but my legs were literally in the air, and my head was like at the back of the bed. So it was like Exorcist moment. It was really weird.
Yeah. So
and then they got her out.
Yeah. So Becky's only
the cord.
preference, right? Becky's only preference for the entire thing was
Yeah.
for me to cut the cord and tell her what it is.
Yeah.
So the baby's half out.
They
Then
cut the cord.
things start happening,
Yeah.
right? I don't think you might have been fully aware,
Yeah.
but like I was right there looking at the door,
Yeah.
and I think the doctor said, "Right, I'm going to give you an injection,
Yeah.
a local anesthetic injection, because I'm going to have to
Oh,
give
yeah.
you a cut to get
Yeah.
you out,
Yeah,
to get
I
her out."
remember.
She gave you a cut. The baby's coming out, and it was life changing. Literally, the baby's head's coming out, and I'm like, "Beck, it's cool. They're here. Don't worry about it. You're good." And then the doctor's like pulling.
Hard.
This is what they have to do.
That's what I mean.
But I was like,
my body was in the air. My whole body was pulled.
I was watching our baby being pulled by the head,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Fuck." She was blue. I didn't know she was a
cut
she at the time.
They cut the cord because they needed to.
They got her out first.
Yeah.
Then they cut the cord. She wasn't crying. She wasn't moving, and she looked grey and blue, and she looked dead.
And I was going, "Come on, baby, cry for me." And I said, "What is she?"
When they
I
pulled
saw
her
the
out-
cord and thought it was a boy, and I was like, "A boy." And I said, "What are they? What are they?"
Yeah.
And then you got asked.
They
and you could
literally
see-
they put the baby in front of me and lift the flap up, and like the little towel thing or whatever, the little towel, and
Yeah.
they were like, I said it's a girl, and then in a blink of an eye there were
They
12
whipped her
people in the
away.
room. There was the nurse. They have a little station in the corner, so
They whipped her away because they were worried about her.
Yeah.
And so Fuzz and Mum were allowed to go with the baby to the baby bit.
I went over to the
Um,
baby bit. The baby nurse was there checking her
Yeah.
out. I said, "Is she okay?" And I don't get into shock
Yeah.
generally. I've been in car crashes. I've been
Yeah.
in really nasty,
Yeah.
I've seen horrible things happen
Yeah.
a lot,
Yeah.
and I normally get weird after, but at the time I'm very in control and very weird.
Yeah.
But I just remember being like, is she alive?
Yeah.
And the nurse said she was fine. Then I turned around and looked at you, and there were 12 people, and I was like, She's okay.
Yeah.
She's okay.
But let me explain what happened while you were over there.
Yeah.
The doctor was with me, naturally. I was back on the bed. I was allowed gas and air because she was like, it's time to birth your placenta. How would you like to do it? And I said, I know that I need to have the injection because I've been anemic and I need it. I need the help. I can't risk bleeding. And so she did it. I had 2 injections for some reason. They started assisting me in getting the placenta out, pulling it out, and
you had a hemorrhage.
I had a postpartum hemorrhage. So the people that were there for the baby then were there for me. Yeah, I think. And so knew what happened. I didn't.
No one told us what was going on. That's fair enough. But I was a little bit upset because I didn't know if you were okay, and I didn't know if the baby was okay. And your mum was just like. She was like, don't look over there. But I had to. I was like, I want to know what's going on. I know it sounds bad, but I want to know, like, what's going on. Yeah, and, like, if like, if someone's messed up or something. I don't know.
You knew at that point that the baby was okay, so you needed...
Not really. Oh. I mean, it's hard to believe. Yeah. Then, Becky got seen to... addressed to and everything like that. The thing that worried me the most was seeing 2 consultants. There was 2 consultants, and we were
really lucky that our consultant that's been with us all the way through, Pina was actually there on that day. So she, throughout the actual delivery, was in and out, and coaching me, and you can do this, you've got this, come on, Becky. Really good. That all got managed.
It was
the baby was okay.
It was not to plan.
No. And eventually the baby came back to me on my chest. So we didn't have skin to skin.
And we're all okay. It's completely like it was just not what I think we did a good job in not having a plan.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't have gone to plan.
I think also we forgot to announce that we didn't know it was a boy or a girl, and we said Zoe, we've had a baby girl straight away.
Yeah.
But we should have... Yeah, anyway. Just know that whatever happens in your birth...
Yeah.
It might
Don't freak out. So another advice for me, I would say, is if it looks bad, it might not be.
Also, maybe we should do another one to talk about just
recovery
after, because we haven't got time now. But we'll talk about.
But we just wanted to get it out there, and let you know that mum and baby are home.
We are now a family of 3 plus Coco, so 4.
Yeah. And there'll be a couple of other on the YouTube one. There'll be a couple of we'll put a couple of snippets of first little bits and pieces afterwards and stuff like that. But next episode
we'll talk about recovery.
We're going to talk about recovery in the first week.
Yeah. And just thank you to... I'm going to cry, but thanks. You say thanks.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
Hormones. You say thanks. Thanks to everyone for listening all the time.
Everyone, you're amazing. Thanks so much for the support, Becky. It means a lot to Becky. It means a lot to me. But Becky has to put her body through all this stuff and the hormones and the upset and everything. And I try and just give a bit of a perspective for the guys, because guys are famous at not talking about their feelings.
But everyone who listens.
Yeah, no, thank you, everyone that listens.
All of our friends and family.
Yeah. But if we can help anyone.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
And we are really lucky.
Yeah.
Not everyone is so lucky.
It still feels a bit
a huge
weird,
thank you.
And we didn't have success straight away.
No.
We went through some really dark times before we got here. So if you are going through a dark time at the moment, if things feel like impossible and terrible, then try and have a ray of hope.
Just don't stop hoping, because it could happen.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen the way you want it to happen, if you become parents another way, or you don't become parents, there is always hope.
There's a way. Anyway, we're going to sign off here because we've got
a baby to see too.
We've got so much to do and not enough time to do it. But we love that though.
Thank you.
Right. Remember, we'll be putting some more video bits on YouTube as well, just to share this cute little baby with everyone. Right. See you in the next one.
Bye.